presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three. Got it.
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone.
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
The final Duck Insider of this academic season. We're getting ready for the track and field national championships that are already underway out in Austin. They should always be at Hayward Field. I don't understand it. Oregon baseball getting ready for Super Regionals, 5 o'clock Pacific time on Friday, 6 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday. And I understand that as we're live on Wednesday, there's no tickets left. Shout out, Duck fans. Well done. Sold out very, very quickly. And so a lot of fans have asked, well, what about, the temporary seating? And we talked with Rob Mullins about this yesterday, that there's some lead time that goes into those things, and we'll see what happens. Look, I'll just tell you that around these halls in the Casanova Center today, there's been a lot of conversation about all the different things that are going on around this Oregon Baseball Super Regional, because we know that there's a lot of interest since I just left the ticket office a little while ago, and the phone is still ringing off the hook for people to try to get into this Super Regional, which is awesome. Thanks, Duck fans. Looking forward to having you at PK Park for what is hopefully going to be an awesome environment. Second ever Super Regional for the Ducks, taking on a good Oral Roberts team. More on Oral Roberts coming up in just a little while. Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, is going to be with us today. We'll talk about Oregon baseball, the year that was. Also, Jerry Allen, voice of the Ducks, will be with us. Jerry was on the call in 2012 at PK Park when Oregon took on Kent State. Game 3 of that Super Regional. Bloop fly ball to left field. And the Ducks ended up losing 3-2 to Kent State. They were outs away from Omaha. Jerry was on the call. We'll talk with him a little bit about that before this big Super Regional this weekend. Track and Field National Championships. The viewing guide is available on GoDucks.com. Zach Lawson will have updates every day on where the Ducks stand through the multi-day event. It runs June 7th through June 10th. And the Ducks hoping for a podium finish in particularly the women's side. With 14 qualifiers on the women's side, I think Oregon's got a good chance, depending on how things go over the course of this track and field championship. Also of note today, Grayson Grinsell and Drew Cowley met with the media. If we don't get to them on the show today, the Quack Video crew will have them on the GoDucks YouTube channel previewing this Super Regional that the Ducks are getting ready to host against a good Oral Roberts team. Now, those other things that are happening around. So details are still being finalized if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. If you're tuning in on an OSN affiliate station a little bit later on today, it's very possible that there may be an announcement on GoDucks.com of what all the details are. But the good news is that there's a lot of things going on, sort of fan-faced football tailgate style for this Oregon baseball team. And I got to tell you, Mark Wasikowski, who met with the media today, and we've got that interview for you coming up in just a moment. Waz talked about how it feels like a community event. Well, you know how I often talk about Oregon football being a community event? That's what this Oregon Baseball Super Regional is starting to feel like. There's more going on around it than just the game itself and just the series itself. Which is, for me, in the 9th year now for me calling Oregon baseball, that's really cool. There's a good possibility, and I hope that this is the case, there's a good possibility that we may break the attendance record at PK Park this upcoming weekend, which would be so awesome and would be so cool to see that. Gabe's clapping. I'm with you. Yeah, thank you, Gabe. I'm with you in the studio. Yeah, that's what it's all about, you know. Before we hear from Mark Wasikowski, the NCAA championships do begin today. There actually are a couple windows on ESPN2 and then also event-specific coverage on ESPN+. The Ducks, for the most part, are in the afternoon semifinals, the 4x100 meter relay, a couple qualifiers for some various Ducks today, and then it continues over the course of the weekend. And I'll tell you, it's going to be amazing to watch in Oregon track and field all weekend long, the way that the form charts change. I'm always fascinated heading into a meet what it's going to look like and then what things are moving forward. But around 4:30 on ESPN2 today is when the coverage begins, and the Ducks with Raphael Rapp, Mekhi Williams, Matthew Erickson, Alex Slenning, all involved in different qualifiers and finals that are taking place for the track and field national championships today, and then it continues through this weekend. Talking about this weekend as well, Mark Wasikowski, the Oregon baseball head coach, he sat down with the media. Really, he stood up in front of the media today. It's brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck. Here's Mark Wasikowski fighting like a duck.
Just to start, what does it mean for you guys to be able to host this regional here at PK Park, first time since 2012?
It's special, you know. I mean, I know they've got a lot of things planned. They've got, a big fan fest out there, in the parking lot, kind of like similar to a football tailgate. They've got things where they'd be giving away season tickets for next year at 25% off, and they've already sold the thing out. I think they sold it out in less than an hour or so, and so the fan interest in the community, what that means for us is that it's awesome to see that the local community really wants this and is really rallying around the team at a time where it's a pretty special time. So what it means is that the program's going in the right direction, and it's, we've been able to advance out of that regional round and the super regional round, and we're looking to take one more step now.
The demand for tickets was obviously very palpable. Are there other ways you've sensed just sort of the energy around the community, the attention that has focused on you guys?
I don't really know. I know there's a good buzz, and there's a lot of outreach and stuff like that, but I don't know. My head's been kind of buried in trying to get prepared. So,
when you've spent so many years here, both as the assistant and now as head coach, to have been here the first time there was a super, to do this, to know what goes into the build from the beginning years of when the program got reinstated to now. What is that, the culmination of it all mean, was that when you were here the first time, that it took this long to get back to do it again and to be on the precipice of reaching the ultimate goal?
Well, I think first off, it's hard. I think that's one thing that it says is it's not easy to get to Omaha. It's not easy to get to super regionals. It's not easy to get to the regionals. And so to be able to do that now on a consistent basis, we've only been here for 3 years, and we've been able to get to postseason play now 3 years in a row, and this will be a super regional in year 3, really, the third full year. It's good. We're in the right direction. Perspective on what it means, grand scheme of things, I don't really know. Again, we're just trying to get prepared for the weekend and put our best product out there on the field for a packed house.
One thing that's been key for you guys is kind of that single elimination mentality you've played with the last few weeks. There is potential for that to come some pressure, and I wonder how much of a key Riku and just the joy he plays with has been in not letting pressure get to be too much, so that you have your backs against the wall, but you also kind of that joy for the game is something you have to have too. How much does Riku help set a tone that way?
Riku's tone is amazing, and I don't, in terms of the pressure and stuff like that, I mean, we talk about it a lot. When we're driving through these cities nowadays and we're seeing people on the streets and stuff like that, that's pressure to figure out where you're going to get a meal from and all that. What we do is play baseball, so that's not really pressure. For Riku, is personally neatest kid maybe ever that I've coached. Just as a person, he's got a great spirit to him. He came off of a Christmas break where his mother passed away in Japan. He plays with such a genuine care for his people around him, the coaches, his teammates. He's just neat. He wants others to enjoy this maybe even more than himself. He's a selfless kid, and he's really one heck of a player.
Plus, you guys have kind of cut down your pitching staff here from 8 to 10 guys, and through the Pac-12 tournament and through the Nashville regional. Just how has that group kind of come together and with their backs to the wall pitched in these performances, unlike they have all season long?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. That, you know, I got to credit Coach Angier for guiding him. But we just kind of told him what it was like, and we just were honest with him, probably more honest than a lot of people told us we could be or should be with our team. And we were just very candid with him and told him, look, you know, if you want to have your year up on that wall for your friends and family to see from here on out, that's up to you. And if you don't, that's on you. And that's on us as coaches, players, everybody. And so we're all a reflection of the 2023 team. If those numbers aren't on that wall, that means we all didn't get it done. And I don't want to see that down the road, and neither did they, obviously, because the pitching staff and the players came together and united in a way that has been spectacular. So specifically the pitching, they've thrown the ball well. We saw that in spurts throughout the year, and then we saw good and bad, but I think that's what you usually see with an inexperienced young group. And what they're doing is getting old at the right time of year.
You coached a lot of teams. What do you?
More with Mark Wasikowski coming up. Rob Moseley's here. So we've got more with the Oregon baseball head coach previewing Super Regionals, but Rob and I have a lot of things to cover. I warned you about one of them. More coming up. Rob Moseley's going to join us after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with the Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear Summer, enter for a chance to win great outdoor gear at DearSummerSweeps.com. Toyota, let's go places.
No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents in select Oregon and Southwest Washington. Zip codes 18 plus years of age. Ends 8/123 at 11:59 p.m. PT. Void where prohibited. For complete rules, visit DearSummerSweeps.com.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
To your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
A man who has flown cross-country twice and internationally once in the last month joins us. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, Godex.com. Do you feel like a real seasoned traveler at this point?
Yes.
Yes. In such a sad tone.
Yesterday was my 6th full day in Eugene in the last, month plus.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And no complaints here. Some of that was vacation and the rest of it was work, which, as we all know, is not exactly
sure.
Yeah, there's worse jobs to have.
That's right.
But you do start to feel a little unmoored. Yeah,
that was an SAT word right there.
Yeah.
Well done. You're really a wordsmith today.
It's a little foggy in there, but apparently some ships can break through the fog.
It still comes out. All right, let's start with baseball. Super Regionals. It's a huge weekend. For the Ducks. Your breakdown of going with the team. You were down there running around on the field with your camera and telling stories. I mean, what were your takeaways from the regional victory?
Let's see. To go to a place like Vandy with their recent tradition, And then to be clearly the class of that regional was really impressive. I haven't been in the weeds with these guys the way you have, so it was kind of a different perspective, kind of a fresh perspective. And they just seem to be clicking kind of on all cylinders. I mean, defensively, definitely could have been a cleaner weekend, but I think with the way the young pitchers performed, we've talked all year about how, when you're young, you're kind of be on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And there's definitely been times when there were some valleys, but I think we saw some peaks from some young kids too, at the right time. So, as Coach Waz has been saying, credit to Jake Angier for the way he's managed those guys. And then the lineup, I think for most of the season, we've just seen how just dangerous and deep this lineup is. And again, there's been some times when, it wasn't as consistent that they'd like, but for the most part, that's just going to be a really dangerous lineup that just keeps coming at you. Led by Riki Nishida at the top of kind of setting the tone.
He's fun when you're around him, isn't he?
He really, he just never stops. Yeah, it's just the energy never lags from him. And I just think, you talk about your leadoff guy being the tone setter, the table setter, and clearly he does that with the way he gets on base and navigates the bases and finds a way to get himself home, drives in runs. He's such a pest to play against, I'm sure. But I just think that, and I asked Waz about it, and maybe just played it. He tried to brush off the sense of pressure that guys should be feeling, and he had great big picture perspective on how you hope guys address it. But the reality is there's going to be some tense moments, and I just think to have a guy like that you can always look over, that's always just smiling like, how great is this? It kind of reminds you of like, the quarterback in the huddle, who's the, Joe Montana, always like the coolest guy, with 2 minutes to go in a game, and like, hey, how awesome is this? Let's go do it. To enjoy and appreciate the big moments rather than being intimidated by them. Riku's that guy. So I just and now they get to come home and just to see the way the community seems really galvanized, energized by this and rallying around this program. You'll love to see that for them, and hopefully it carries over into seasons to come too, because a baseball fan base can really affect games.
It could be a huge difference maker.
Totally.
I mean, I hope that the attendance record gets broken this weekend. It'd be cool.
I don't know. I mean, without some of the temporary seating that was out there,
We'll see.
I have no idea kind of what the capacity, potential is and all that, but I mean the demand certainly seems to be there.
Right. I think that you can count people that are around the ballpark as half, right?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
I live like less than a mile away.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
Yeah.
See? I mean, that makes...
Even if the wife's not at the game, we'll just count her.
I like that, Like at Vanderbilt, there's people that watch from a parking garage.
Yeah.
Do they count?
Yeah.
I
mean, not officially, for
yeah,
sure.
No, so I think there's ways to do it.
Vandy, all class. Those people were great.
No doubt.
They're fans. Talk about the ability to cheer for your team and support your team and impact the game and create a home field. But and they were all over our guys, which you'd expect, but not disrespectfully.
Right. It's a program that's built the right way.
Yeah, I thought that was a classy bunch. So kudos to them. Obviously, very easy to say when you come home with a win.
Yeah.
So I'm not naive to that as well. But I just thought they were cool people.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens this weekend for so many different reasons. But were you at the Super Regionals in 2012?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'd have to go back. I mean, I was working at the paper then, and so it might have been a big enough deal that I was called to sidebar the game. But it's fuzzy enough at this point. It's like I've heard the story about the little blooper to what was it, short left field down the third base line. I've heard it so many times. It's like I can
you were there.
Picture it as if I was there. Yeah. But if I opened the Register Guard for the next day and it turns out I was in Palo Alto covering something else completely, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I remember when I was in my last year of school, it was like you and I were the only two in the press box for a couple weeks, so I couldn't remember if that was that year or the year after.
Yeah, no.
If that you were doing baseball. But the reason I asked that question is we talk about the trajectory of programs and broad-based excellence and all these things around Oregon that competing for championships is the standard. like historically in the program, this is still a very new program in the modern era. And the success that they've had, I think this is a really cool moment and opportunity, at least, I think, for me, for fans to sort of look around and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, this program has been really good for a number of years, even though it is a newer program in the modern era.
Yeah, I mean, I think, style of play was an issue initially. I mean, just the way the program wanted to win games kind of early in the years, where you pitch well and you kind of play small ball and you manufacture runs, and I get it. I'm a seam head, so I love that.
Yeah,
but
I did too.
I certainly understand how, to a casual fan, that wasn't as entertaining, and so then your margin of error becomes pretty slim. And so that if you're not winning at a really, really high level, people say, okay, I'm not sure if the program's that successful, and I'm not sure if I'm going to love the product, good in a lot of ways, but just not enough to get a bunch of people out. But then I think it just became that just went completely overboard. Like it was just blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when things take hold, perception becomes reality, and when things take hold in the perception, it's really hard to kind of to change people's minds. And so it's taken a few years, but I think hopefully now we're, when you beat Vanderbilt, and given all they've done, and have their coach talk about the physical nature of Oregon's program and the physicality standing out. I mean, that's something that I think Coach Wasikowski wanted to make part of this program's identity. And so, certainly the baseball community has noticed that. And hopefully even more and more fans start to notice it as well too, because I think we've seen over the years the crowds that the Eugene Emeralds have attracted, that this is a community that will rally around baseball if it's an entertaining product, a fun product. A lot of that has to do with the product on the field. A lot of that has to do with the weather. Absolutely, a lot of that has to do too just with the way you market it and the way you make a baseball game an experience. It's not just about what's going on the field, but around the stadium as well. So there's all these different parts that come into it, but people will come out and watch a ball game here for sure, if some of the conditions are right. And so, hopefully people are starting to feel like the conditions are right.
And I hope that this, like a big community event like this, is feeling like, you know, like I said, that this is starting to feel like a football game is bigger than the game, right? Like we know that, and this is starting to kind of feel that way. It is feeling that way to me, at least. And so hopefully that brings in a lot of people this weekend. We could talk baseball. We will continue to do so with Mark Wasikowski and Jerry Allen here coming up in a little bit. I do want to ask you though, Rob, like it's always, you and I have talked about this a lot actually in this segment this year, that we can kind of both be guilty of getting stuck in the day-to-day of, so now I'm going to ask you to zoom out.
Yeah.
And this is the one that I warned Rob about. Do you have some like favorite stories and favorite memories from the year? And maybe the better way to ask that question, like, do you have some favorite stories that you're going to remember that you've told over the course of this academic year?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, where my head my head went first to three things, and first went to the volleyball run that they were on, and just how close they were to getting to the Final Four. The last year in the career of Brooke Nunneviller, who, just an absolutely transcendent player. That's the first place my head went, and kind of the biggest deal this whole year. Seeing the senior year for a transcendent player for a program, and the run they went on, and to be within a point of going to the Final Four, but to make it the Elite Eight as it was. They were just playing at a really high level, and that was another postseason run, kind of like this one that baseball's on, that really kind of galvanized people and brought some people kind of who maybe were on the fringes of supporting a team, that kind of they're stoked a little bit more passion, or drew some new eyes in some cases too. Obviously the first season for Dan Lanning was something, and until Bo Nix got hurt, they were on a really, really amazing trajectory. And so, his injury obviously was a huge factor in a couple of defeats late in the year, but I think it doesn't take away from just overall just how impressive a first step that was for Coach Lanning.
Agreed.
But I do think that if the baseball team wins 2 games this weekend, that's the biggest story of the year. Agreed. If they get to Omaha finally, which this program's been talking about for over a decade, that becomes the biggest deal of this athletics year.
Well said.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah,
the year's not done yet.
Nope.
You know, could still see a great finish for Oregon track and field.
Totally.
You know, this weekend, it can happen.
No, yeah. I mean, we're all hoping. I think the women's team in particular can finish on the podium. But what happens if some things really fall right for them and some other teams slip up and suddenly, you know, they exceed expectations? Yeah, no doubt about it. This weekend in track and field could kind of write a final chapter that, you know, is pretty impressive as well. But, you know, for as great as volleyball's run was, you know, they've been to a Final Four. They've played for a national championship. You know, football has had sort of objectively better seasons than last year, for as impressive as it was, and again for the significance of it being Coach Lanning's, you know, him being new. But you go to Omaha for the first time again. For as much as we've all been talking about that will become
big deal.
The biggest deal.
Big deal. Thoughts headed into the fall. It's going to be here before we know it. Looking forward to it.
It really is, and you know, so I try to not to make it about myself. So like when you ask like. Biggest stories I've told, like, you know, I try not to let my head work that way, so nothing really jumps to mind. But I have been thinking about how, you know, with the potential for this baseball season to keep going, this summer's going to feel really short.
Yeah. It's true.
It really is.
It's true.
Because, like, it's June.
Yeah.
And unless I'm mistaken, I think soccer practice starts next month.
Technically, yeah. Yeah, end of July. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
But, you know, so you try to maximize. So you enjoy it while you're in it, you know, which we do. And then you just try to maximize those few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, end of June, early July, which I fully intend to do.
Yeah.
Traveling around, seeing the Grateful Dead. So. But, yeah, it's, I just, again, the anticipation for football and volleyball, again, to kind of build off what they both did last year.
Cool stuff.
Is going to be significant, and and soccer as well. You know, I think, you know, they played a lot of young kids, and you know, Coach Abel is, you know, it's going to be like his group really, and that's going to be exciting to watch as well. And you know, even cross country. I mean, I think we've watched this track and field / cross country year, knowing it was very much a transition year.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, given the way they've recruited and all of that, there's a lot of anticipation that the transition will end and it'll be back to kind of the Oregon track and field that we all know and love. Which the women are going to fulfill that potentially this week, but just in terms of the breadth of success across that program, next year could be, you know, really special. So.
He's Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. Well, I wanted to shout out one story that you told about Brooke Nuneviller.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. And that took a lot of work by you to talk with a lot of people and gather these great moments throughout a career. I thought the way that story was told, well done. That's one I'll remember from this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just – and in some ways that was the easiest thing to do because I didn't write anything, you know. It was all just like first person. So, yeah, it was more like compiling.
Though.
Yes.
You're a professional compiler.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's – basically what reporting is for sure. So, but yeah, that okay, if that took some effort, whatever, she was worth it. You know, like what she had done, the story, you know, the legacy to be kind of recorded was very much worth it. So, you know, that's, you know, I'm sure you've experienced. That's what fuels you in times like that, where you're like, you know, you're grinding through something, but it's like, hey, this is very much worth it. So,
yeah, like a shortened summer.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Wednesday is going to be your day next year if you're up for it again.
I'm up for it.
All right.
Seems to work.
Hopefully I'll see you for a few more weeks.
Yeah.
And then I won't see you for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good.
When does the show start up again?
July 31st.
All right. So the show is back next month.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
The way the calendar fell this year with the 31st being the Monday that starts it all off.
Yeah.
It just fell that way. It worked out. But, yeah, that's the plan.
All right.
Everyone was asking me, like, well, how come you're wrapping up now? Well, normally, you know, unfortunately, the last event of the season is often the track and field championships.
Right.
And they're actually going on while we're on the air. And then the show airs at different times throughout the state. So it's difficult for me to keep track of what's happening. And it just so happened this year that baseball gets to play at home and keep going. And, well, we've still got broadcasts for you.
For once, we have a pretty chill, home track and field schedule.
Right.
but there's still plenty to do.
That's right.
Which is a good thing.
It's a very good thing. When we come back, more preview of Oral Roberts, Mark Wasikowski breaking them down. Coming up, Duck Baseball at home this weekend on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCAA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is an important message from the Mine Safety and Health Administration. Mining fatalities, accidents, and injuries are preventable. Taking a minute to approach your task safely can protect you and your fellow miners from injury and death. Staying alert and focused can keep you safe. Do it safe. Do it right. Whether buckling a seatbelt or securing equipment, these quick safety measures can prevent injuries and fatalities. Take time. Save lives. For more resources, visit MSHA.gov.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We heard a little bit from Mark Wasikowski earlier. We've got Jerry Allen coming up, and we're going to talk a little bit more baseball and a lot more baseball. We also, I know, will not get to all of Grayson Grinsell and Drew Cowley, so head to the GoDucks YouTube for those. Alex Simpson uploading them as we speak. Let's hear more, though. Part 2 of Mark Wasikowski, the Oregon baseball head coach, giving a little preview of Oral Roberts this weekend. 5 o'clock on Friday. It begins at PK.
Well, I don't know. They won games at the right time, I guess, is what that tells me about them. They won a lot of games at the right time. They were able to, the Vanderbilt Regional was really intense, especially the game against Vanderbilt. It was a packed house, and there were times in that game where it could have gotten away from us, and our guys collected themselves and had the poise to be able to make pitches and have good at-bats. And so, the talent that was on the field that night for Vanderbilt that we had to beat was extreme. It was extremely good. And for the kids to be able to go through that, I don't think anybody picked us to win that. I don't think anybody picked us to be in this position. The back against the wall kind of thing is real. And, it's still a deal where our backs are against the wall. We still got plenty of people who don't believe that we should be here or whatever. And that's great. That's something that we get a chance to prove that we do belong. And not only do we belong, but, like Jacob Walsh said after, I believe it was the first game of the Pac-12 tournament, we're here to win this thing. We're here to win this tournament. And, that was the first tournament. This is the second tournament. And also, those are the same words that I bet Jacob would say today.
Is there an update on Isaac Aon and Jay Stoffel and their availability for this weekend?
That's a great question. I don't know. We haven't, been out on the field yet today, and so I'll know that. Later this afternoon.
Sabine Ceballos played some really good defense at third base, especially that play of the bases loaded. Just how impressive is that for him? A guy who's drafted as a catcher to play such stellar defense there at third base.
Sports Center type play for us to get through that inning, and that basically won the game for us, I'd say. There were other pieces that helped as well, but that play was as good as you'll see. He's just, he's along the lines of Riku. He's a really neat kid, cares so much. He has the poise. He kind of plays passionate and old, and on a team that's got a lot of young guys that's really well needed.
You had to pare down the pitching staff by both choice and necessity was. How impactful, how important was it that have a lot of guys who don't get hit hard. I mean, which is like, yes, obviously in baseball you prefer not to, but some of it, like I say, wasn't by choice. It was by necessity. And if you had to rely on guys who were giving up a whole bunch of long balls or extra base hits, that'd be a harder thing. But the group that you're relying on all season really doesn't get hit very hard. Doesn't give up a lot of extra base hits. Just how valuable is that when you've had to rely on this collection of guys?
Well, I love this collection of guys, and so I don't think we've pared anything down. We've got everybody on our roster that's healthy, that can pitch, is available to pitch, and I feel comfortable using every one of those young guys. I love them. I think they've played with their hearts, and they've come together at the right time. The fact that they do or don't get hit hard or all that kind of stuff, I don't know. I just want them to be effective and keep getting better every day. We've just asked them to improve, and that's all we've asked them to do. We haven't asked them to throw shutouts or any of that kind of stuff. We just said, look, all we want you to do is get better every single day you're here. That's all we've asked them from the start, and they've bought into that.
And Grayson in particular, what have you seen with him kind of click these last few weeks when he's given you some huge innings at the regional?
Well, Grayson's been good all year. We just use him in a different capacity now recently, and we've started him a couple of times. And all year long, though, Grayson's been a guy that we went to in really high leverage situations, and he's stepped up. Why did we start him at the end of the year and all that? Just because he's been really good. And so I don't know, that may be the paring down of the pitching, I guess. I've never thought of it that way. We just are pitching the guys that have pitched the best and deserve the ball and trying to win games. That's about it.
Through this postseason run, what have you learned about this team that you didn't necessarily see during the regular season?
What did I learn about the team?
Yeah, through this postseason run.
That they love playing. I knew they'd love playing together, but these guys just really enjoy being around each other a lot. Play for one another. Tanner Smith, Gavin Grant's glue the whole thing. Him and Colby Shade, Tanner Smith, these guys, their uniting power is awesome. And so what I've learned is that these guys flat out just want this for the community at a level that's hard to explain.
What is it about Gavin that allows him to be that way, Ross? Because it's a cliche for us that seniors, they default to leaders, or the best players, they default to leaders. And yes, he is a senior, but he's your 9-hitter. He's a great defensive player, no doubt. But he's not the leading hitter. He's got the lowest average of regular starters. So what is it about him where there are times where guys would say, if you don't have success, it's hard to be that voiceful guy. He's successful, but in a relative sense, he's not a 320 hitter popping 20 homers. So what is it about him that allows him to be a capable voice that can speak but can also be heard?
Baseball's a game that's not played on a stat sheet. And it is for Hall of Fame votes maybe, but it isn't for locker rooms and championships. And Gavin Grant's a guy that unites a locker room to be able to win a championship. And without a guy like Gavin Grant, you won't win a championship. Regardless of how good your statistical players are on your stat sheet, you have to have guys like Gavin Grant and Colby Shade and Drew Calley, but specifically Gavin. You have to have a guy like that to be able to keep the locker room where it needs to be focused and directed and playing together to where it's just the glue guy. Gavin's role on this team, sure, he hits 9th and his stats or whatever his stats are, and his defensive play is whatever his defensive play is. Those things are, he adds value to all those things, but the biggest piece that he adds value on, it can't be seen on a piece of paper. It's seen by his teammates, and I guess that's my answer to your question is his glue piece to this whole thing is at a value where nobody else can match it.
Colby Shade didn't start last game. Any updates on his status?
No, I don't have anything, again, not until I get out to the field today.
I know you guys have only been on.
He did play, though, in the last game.
Right.
So.
I know you guys have only been in Eugene for 24 hours at this point, but just what have you heard, what have you seen from Oral Roberts, at least just in a preliminary aspect, coming here with a 21-game winning streak? They won Summit League that they play in. They beat the Stillwater Regional. So just what have you seen from them?
Well, they lost one game in their league. They have the best defensive team statistically on a piece of paper in the country. And, they rolled through a really difficult regional. I think Dallas Baptist, Oklahoma State, and Washington are all three very good clubs. We're familiar with the one club, and we watched the other two clubs. What we've seen now is every game that they've played on tape and every bat or pitch they've thrown. So we're very familiar with the team, and they're good.
What makes what makes their lead hitter, Jonah Cox, I mean, he's one of the top hitters in the country at 424. But everybody knows, everybody goes into a game trying to plan not to allow him to do what he does. How does he keep doing it?
Their best hitter is a heck of a player, and he's athletic. He's big, strong, physical. He can do it all on a baseball field. And so, the people of Eugene will see a treat. Hopefully won't see his best version of himself, but still yet. He's one heck of a player. He's tooled up, professional prospect, plays center field for him. He's really good.
Good stuff talking about Oral Roberts from Mark Wasikowski. More baseball preview coming up. Jerry Allen, Voice of the Ducks, going to join us, and we've got a whole lot more to cover. It's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCAA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Dear Summer, enter for a chance to win great outdoor gear at DearSummerSweeps.com. Toyota, let's go places.
No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents in select Oregon and Southwest Washington. Zip codes 18 plus years of age. Ends 8/123 at 11:59 p.m. PT. Void where prohibited. For complete rules, visit DearSummerSweeps.com.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Farming is dangerous. There's dangers all around us.
We go through safety training and try and do these things to make sure accidents don't happen.
You don't want to hit a gas pipe because that's your life. The other part of it is if you hit certain things, you're liable for it.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble.
For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
A lot of good stuff from Mark Wasikowski, Rob Moseley, now Jerry Allen. It's the final Duck Insider of the year. So I know a lot of fans have asked me, we talked about this a little bit ago, the way that the schedule falls. Normally, Jerry and I are sitting down, and it's like a true season wrap-up today.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, let's go track and field, see what happens at Hayward, but it's not at Hayward this year, which doesn't make any sense. And then, it's like, all right, we're headed to the summer break in the fall. But now there's a lot of stuff still going on.
I'm so excited. For this
You're
anxious
excited.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous excited. I'm just going to tell you, I still in 2012. I'm still sitting there in the booth when that little bloop dropped and life ended for us. It was just crushing for George Horton and that baseball team. Yeah. They were in Omaha. They were going to go to Omaha, and it ended right there. And so, Joey, I want to get past that, and this weekend can get myself and a lot of Oregon fans past that.
Agreed. So I was kind of curious to have this talk with you, Jerry, because I was there in 2012, but I wasn't calling games for the Ducks yet. And I've been around the team since the second year the program returned as a student. But you were around in 2007 when PK gets announced. You were around during the year that they didn't play anybody and they just practiced. You were around when Daryl Hunter and Drew Gagne were the first two recruits in the history of the program in the modern era.
Yeah.
I feel like Oregon baseball under Coach Horton got so good so fast because they made a regional the second year of the modern era, hosted a regional the fourth year of the modern era, or a super regional in the fourth year of the modern era. I feel like the standard was set so quickly in 2012. And I think that sometimes because of the loss to Kent State, that gets forgotten. Is that fair?
No, I think that's fair. I mean, Oregon baseball was built, first of all, Pat Kilkenny, Dave Frohnmeyer. Dave Frohnmeyer's name doesn't come up enough. He was the president of the university at the time. And when Pat went to him, I mean, we're going to have to cut wrestling to add baseball. And there was a lot going on. Dave Frohnmeyer said, you know what? You presented it well. I agree with you. Let's do it. So Dave Frohnmeyer, Pat Kilkenny, Joe Giansante, Renee Baumgartner, those four really were instrumental. And then they got the right guy. Yeah. They got George Horton. And George is the reason that Oregon got there so quickly in a pretty good Pac-12 at the time, although not everybody's playing baseball in the Pac-12 at the time. But yeah, George Horton built that really, really quickly, and then we kind of peaked, and then it kind of changed. But it was the style of baseball at the time. Margin for error was not very much, and it kind of caught up with it.
Well, and I feel like after that, there was a period there from 2012 to 2015 where I think Oregon, during that 4-year stretch, won more games than anybody else in the country. Now, you say that, and it's like, well, but you got to get to Omaha, and I get that. But still, yes, the program did dip, and then Mark Wasikowski now in his 4th year, 3rd full year, minus the COVID year, has them hosting a super regional. I think that it's a fun moment for the entire program to look at. You think about really how old the modern era is. It ain't that old.
No, it's not.
No. And so it's a cool moment, I think, for the program.
No, it is, and it dipped a little bit, but it didn't drop.
No,
the program never dropped. It just dipped a little bit, and Waz has come in, and of course Waz was with George originally, and Waz is a hitting coach. So Waz is like, I want to pound the ball. I want to bring guys in that are going to put that ball over the fence. So he sort of changed the style of Oregon baseball, which is kind of resembling more what they do in the SEC
and
pitching,
Major League Baseball,
and Major League Baseball too. So it's more exciting for the fans. Heard Mose talk about it. So it's a great style of baseball. He's got the players he wants, and they found a rhythm, even through the injuries. They got a rhythm going. So I heard some guys talking on the radio this week. So what are they going to do? They got some injuries. And my answer was, you know what? They're in a rhythm. They don't need to do anything differently than what they have done to get to where they are.
Well, it's amazing. If you told me in February that R.J. Gordon, Isaac Aon, and Jay Stoffel, the 3 weekend rotation pitchers from last year, aren't going to be pitching and the Ducks are hosting a super regional, I'd be like, I'll take it. I mean, right?
Yeah, but I'd say no, they're not.
Yeah, I know.
You just don't lose those 3 guys.
Well, in the Ducks, it wasn't that long ago. You think about how a season can turn. So, Ole Miss won the national championship. They were the last team in the field the year that they won the national championship. It can be done. That being said, Oregon was 31-20 on Friday morning in Salt Lake City. Now the Ducks are 40-20. They've won 9 straight, and a bunch of those have been 1-run games. It's amazing how in the postseason and in this time of year, it's like, doesn't matter, just win the game. And that's kind of been I think the microcosm of the season in some ways, that there's always things to improve on, but the Ducks just haven't been on the winning side of those close games. Now they are. That says something.
Well, there was a period of time when you look at Oregon's order and you get a guy or 2 on base, and then you look at that lineup and you see 3 or 4 guys coming up, and you just know we're going to be lucky to get one of those guys to get an extra base hit because you need a run. I just know if we can get that, it's not going to happen. Ryan Healy's too far down the list. But now it's anybody. I don't care if you need 1 or 2 runs. Anybody in that lineup probably going to get on base, and then somebody's going to knock them in. There's more confidence on this team hitting the ball than probably since baseball's come back.
I agree with that. I mean, the record book agrees with you, too.
Oh, no doubt.
In the last 3 years, basically every team and individual offensive record has been broken. A lot of them this year.
That's fun baseball.
It is fun
baseball.
It is fun baseball. How do you think the pitch clock has impacted the game, too? I mean, because I have strong feelings, obviously.
Well, you played the game, so you're behind the plate, and you want to take the time, and you've got this games you're playing with a batter and a hitter, and you guys have this little conversation going on.
Well, actually, I love it.
Oh, you do?
I'm a huge fan.
I love it too. From a fan perspective, the game moves along quicker.
Yeah.
And if you are want to take your wife and your kids, or your husband and your kids, whatever, it's so much easier to watch a game now because there's not many down moments. It moves, and then it's over and you're home, and it's like, wow, that was fun.
Well, so the reason I bring this up is like in 2012, the stadium was packed. It's a record for attendance, right?
Right.
Program stays really good. Then, as we've discussed, kind of has the roller coaster dip. Now, with baseball, I think doing so many things to engage fans the way that collegiate baseball and professional baseball is, and you're seeing Oregon baseball have this run, like I just think that this could be a really magical moment for capturing a much larger portion of the greater Duck fan base following this baseball team.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. When you get to the College World Series, when you get to Omaha, you've made a statement. You've answered the questions. Fans say, get us to Omaha. Get us to where the best teams in college baseball play every year. You become one of those teams, and then, okay, now we're on board. We're not going to get off that bus. But till you get there, it's on the bus, off the bus, it's back and forth. So it's a defining moment in a program. It really is.
Can you do me a favor just for the greater good of the entire broadcast for the weekend?
Maybe.
Can you just say, like in a Peyton Manning style Omaha for me?
I don't know if I but it's not just that he says it. He says it like 10 times in a row.
So I've tried to think. So I have this idea. I have this idea that I need like a bunch of different people throughout Oregon to record that so that I can just press play on a bunch of different people saying Omaha.
Omaha.
You know? Thank you. See, that's great.
Omaha.
Like, I'm going to make Stimson do it. He doesn't know this yet. But like I just thought it would be fun to do it. You never hear it that way.
Maybe you could get him to do it.
Is he a Duck fan? He likes the Falls, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does.
But I've heard, one or two. Well, I'm glad that you're going to be up there this weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Because
I can't wait.
I remember distinctly in 2012, I was sitting in foul territory, and I was listening to you and Brian. And I remember word for word the call. And so this is a good moment to exercise some demons. Is that a fair phrase?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, I want to celebrate with this team.
Yeah.
As a fan, I mean, the saddest
Do you want a
locker
wireless
room
mic?
I've ever been in is that locker room after that game. That one and the national championship game against Auburn.
Ohio State
those,
Auburn.
Auburn. Those two moments I'll never, ever forget. We can exercise those demons with Omaha this trip, yeah.
So do you want a wireless mic? I could set one up for you.
Oh, I'd be happy to. I'd love to get around and talk to fans.
Well,
yeah.
I might have just added myself 4 hours of work today. But
look, and I can put batteries in it. You don't need to do that, okay? That doesn't take you 4 hours.
Don't throw the flag on that. What are you doing? It's not football season yet. God. Well, we've only got about 30 seconds, Jerry.
Okay.
But year in review, I think it's been a good year for the Ducks.
No, it's been a really good year. I mean, I'll just say this: there are a lot of universities and athletic departments and fan bases across the nation that wished they could be as successful as Oregon's athletic programs have been as a whole this year. That's it.
It's true. That's really true. He's Jerry Allen, voice of the Ducks. We'll be back July 31st with him, probably on the first show of the year, because that's the way the calendar fell. And this is the way the calendar fell with the track and field championship. So we wrap up Duck Insider, but still some baseball broadcasts that we've got for you coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
One final look at the schedule for the weekend, and then we wrap up Duck Insider after this. Jerry Allen, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Happy to be here.
Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCAA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Unused prescription opioid pain medicines can spell trouble. They can spell risk if taken by someone they weren't prescribed for, harm if accidentally taken by a child or pet, or overdose if they're not used as directed. Safely dispose of opioids before they can hurt your family. Find a drug take-back option such as medicine drop boxes. You may find these in your community at local pharmacies or police stations. Visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio. My thanks again to Rob Moseley, Jerry Allen joining us today. You heard from Mark Wasikowski. So the schedule for us, I mean, when Duck Baseball makes it this far, it's great because we get to keep our broadcast going for Oregon Baseball, and we'll have updates on Oregon track and field. And, you know, we talked about actually extending Duck Insider to go until, like, Monday, but then – to be totally honest with you, inside the broadcast, if I am traveling to Omaha, well, we're running out of people to sit here and do the show. But that would have meant that Ryan would have gotten to do it a ton. So I guess we could have gone down that road. But in all seriousness, when we get to this time of year, this show is a lot of fun when the teams are winning. But really, the broadcast that we have coming for you for Oregon baseball, we know that that's what everyone's tuning in for. You don't need to listen to me talk about how awesome the experience is going to be. You don't need to listen to me talk about the keys to the matchup beyond what we do on the pregame show. And that's what we're going to do this weekend. A 4:45 pregame show on Friday, just after 5 o'clock first pitch. It's also televised on ESPNU, 6 o'clock on Saturday. Hopefully there isn't a game on Sunday. If there is, it's at an if necessary to be determined time. We don't know yet. Thanks to everybody, the entire production crew all year long. Scott Phillips, Ryan Milano, Alex Simpson especially. These guys are around every day helping out with Duck Insider. So we go and take our Duck Insider summer break. We'll be with you on the Oregon Sports Network all throughout Oregon baseball season. And before you know it, we're going to be back July 31st for fall camp. Go Ducks, everybody.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience